Note, let the image be an African person with African dressing, make it real and interesting. The uprising in Ajanla Village. The marketplace, once filled with the sweet scent of roasted yams and the sound of traders haggling, was now drowned in a sea of angry voices. The villagers of Ajanla, their faces hardened with years of toil, had gathered to reject the corrupt selection of their new king. At the heart of the protest, Baba Adeoti, his old but firm hands gripping a walking stick, raised his voice again. The truth hung heavy in the air. You sit there in your fine robes, Chief Olatunji, but tell us who consulted the gods before this decision was made. Who among you dared to enter the sacred grove to seek Ifa's wisdom? The kingmakers remained silent, their eyes darting toward one another. A young man, Say, the hunter, stepped forward, his voice thick with emotion. Ifa was never consulted. We all know the truth. You sat in dark rooms and took Kaladi's gifts. Bags of cowries, promises of land, the gold of strangers. But we will not be ruled by a king of corruption. A deafening cry of agreement followed. Do not forget who truly holds power, screamed Ayafunka, shaking her fists. You sit in your council seats because we allow it. We, the people, till the land raise the children, build the homes. Without us, you are nothing. Ajanla rejects your king. The crowd chanted in unison, their voices shaking the very foundation of the square. The kingmakers, now visibly uncomfortable, huddled together, whispering. Chief Olatunji raised a hand as if to calm the storm before him. This gathering is illegal, he announced, though his voice wavered. You dare to challenge the sacred council. Baba Adeoti let out a bitter laugh. Sacred, you have desecrated the very tradition you claim to uphold. There is nothing sacred about a king chosen with bribes and lies. No Kalada. No fraud. We want justice. The villagers roared, stomping their feet in unison. Some of the younger men, Dare the blacksmith, Say, the hunter, and Akeem the farmer, started moving toward the platform where the kingmakers. Their bodies were tense, their eyes burning with rage. Chief Olatunji took a step back. The other elders grabbed their robes, ready to flee if things turned violent. Then, from the back of the crowd, an old priest stepped forward. Baba Ogunlana, the keeper of the ancestral shrine. His white beard flowed down his chest, and his eyes, though weary, held the fire of truth. The gods are watching, he said, in a voice that silenced even the angriest shouts. They see the betrayal. They see the lies. He turned to the kingmakers. If you truly believe Kaladi is chosen by the gods, let him prove it. Bring him before the shrine. Let him undergo the sacred tests. If he fails, his reign is doomed. If he refuses, he is no king at all. A murmur spread through the crowd. Yes, let him prove himself. Someone shouted, or step down now before the gods punish you all. Another added. Chief Olatunji wiped his sweaty brow. He knew Kaladi would never survive the sacred tests. The young man had never trained in the ways of the ancestors. He was nothing more than a rich noble's son, hungry for power. The voices grew louder. The villagers would not leave without an answer. Ajanla stood on the edge of a revolution, and the kingmakers had nowhere to hide. With each passing moment, the crowd's frustration escalated. Their voices intertwined, echoing through the air, each demanding answers from those who had long ignored them. Ajanla's heart raced as she recognized the weight of their hopes resting upon her shoulders. She knew that the time for silence had passed and that change was on the horizon. As she spoke, her voice rang clear and strong, igniting a spark in the hearts of those gathered. Ajanla urged them to stand firm and demand the justice they so desperately sought. The crowd responded with a roar, their chants rising like a wave united in their call for change. The kingmakers could no longer ignore the tide that was rapidly turning against them. Inside the castle, fear crept through the halls as the kingmakers realized that their power was at stake. Ajanla felt a surge of courage, knowing that the moment of reckoning was drawing near. With a deep breath, Ajanla stepped into the fray, her voice rising above the roar of the crowd. They surged toward the castle, ready to demand answers, justice, and a new beginning.